Hi guys, this is your host Akhil Dua. My guest today is Izzat Nagayagi, a trekker, mediator, trainer, counselor, and experiential educator. Our topic today is the importance of nature and outdoors for our kids. Izzat is the head of experiential learning at Indiahikes, where her job is to enhance learning in children through special programs conducted outdoors and in treks. As a counselor and trainer, she also works with adults and teachers in group workshops and private sessions. Please enjoy my conversation with Izzat Yaganagi. I want to first welcome you, Izzat, to our show called Pitthu, Things That They Don't Teach You in School. I reached out to Indiahikes because I have been a customer myself.
And you've trekked with us?
Yeah, I've trekked twice with Indiahikes. Both times I've had very good experience. And I've always enjoyed being in nature. I've been trekking for the past 10, 12 years. And when I was putting together this show and going over the topics that I thought would be interesting for parents to understand, being outdoors, being in nature, and learning from nature was one that was, in the top ones that I wanted to address. Every time I go on a trek, I come back and I post photographs on Facebook. Parents reach out to me saying, we want to do this, but we also want our kids to do it. And which are the treks that we can go with our kids? How do we prepare for these treks? How should our kids prepare for these treks? So I thought that instead of me addressing these questions, I'll just go and find an expert, someone like you, who can talk about, first of all, the benefits of being outdoors and being in nature are, and how parents and kids can prepare for it. So we'll just get right into it. What do you think, first of all, is the right age for kids to start exploring mountains, start exploring nature?
I guess it's never too early to start, because as soon as a parent feels ready to take their child out into nature, I think they should do it. There are people who start even when the child can't walk yet. They put them in their carry bags and take them out on walks, and that's the first introduction to nature and the outdoors, and I think that's wonderful. And it is a growing trend. It's wonderful to know that parents are looking at doing something like this, and I really hope that it happens more and more. But going into the mountains, I think the child needs to be, if it's the Himalayas, of course they have to have some prior experience of trekking, of walking, so the parent can start off very early, around 3, 4, take them to parks, take them to small areas where maybe you have a hill and you can climb, go for a 2-hour walk, and build that enthusiasm and interest in the child. Talk about the trees, talk about the rocks, get them all excited about nature. Look at small insects, maybe grow a few plants at home and observe them. So it kind of brings nature into the lives of children gradually, right from the beginning. And I think if parents can do this, it's a great gift for their children. Because there are immense benefits of learning from nature, and it's never too late, too early to start.
Okay. So
for a Himalayan trek, it would be, we ideally say, like, if the child is around 7 or 8 and is an outdoorsy kind of a child who's enthusiastic about being out, 7, 8 is absolutely fine.
Okay.
But for parents who are trying to kind of push their kids into the outdoors, because nowadays kids literally don't want to do that. There's so many exciting things on their gadgets and their screens that it's very hard to pull them away from it. So those who are starting off a little later, maybe when they're around 12 would be a good age. And it's exciting when they can go on their own with another group of kids.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
That makes it exciting for the child, because at the age of 12, 13, they don't really want to go along with their parents sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
They're a little older.
I agree.
So I would again say that best is earliest. Parents take their own child out into nature, right from the time they maybe learn to walk. For those who haven't done that, a good first experience would be maybe around 12, 13, where they can go off on their own.
Okay.
And have an adventure and come back and talk about it. I've seen that with children on treks. The boost in their self-confidence is huge. Even the ones who kind of doubt in the beginning, oh, it's so high, do I have to go all that way up? And how am I going to make it?
Right.
And when they actually make it, and when they actually are ahead of their parents many times, because kids are lighter, they are more energetic.
Right.
Even the lazy ones, you'll be surprised that they do quite well on a trek.
Correct.
And if given a little responsibility, like you mentioned, the trek leader took him ahead and told him about the trees and the mountains, it kind of makes them feel okay as an individual. They're getting that recognition and they're given some responsibility, which we do on our treks with families. And we literally actually ask the kids to take care of their parents, even though they may never have done it before. So we have a session with the children and we say, see, your parents are much older, they are heavier, they're going to be struggling. You are light-footed, and you are young, so you go ahead and you encourage them to walk, to remind them to drink water, you tell them, it's not so tough, you can rest after 5 steps, rest after 10 steps. So the things that we want the kids to actually do, we ask them to help their parents with that. And it completely changes the dynamics.
I mean, can you name a few tricks that young parents of, let's say, if the child is around 6 or 7 years, and then we'll make our way up. Can you recommend a few treks that parents of young children can take?
In the Himalayas?
We can talk about. I mean, that's really the best destination to go.
Yes.
I'll just add a note before you get into it. What we don't realize is that every state has some kind of small peaks. So even in Maharashtra, there are beautiful mountains close by. We don't always have to go to the Himalayas. You can find small summits around 200-300 kilometers around your city, and you can go do those. But since you guys work primarily in the Himalayas, what do you suggest?
Yes, so it's good you brought in that note, because it is really good if parents can explore their own surroundings initially and get that sense of adventure into their family, into their kids.
Yeah.
And of course, the Himalayas are totally different. It's amazingly beautiful, and the impact on the child is tremendous. So to start off, we have one-night camping treks in the Himalayas, which are pretty close to Dehradun or Mussoorie. So it's easy to reach from any of the major cities. Yeah. You fly into Delhi and take a train to Dehradun, or you can even fly directly into Dehradun.
Yeah.
Very close, about 4 to 6 hours away. You have several small treks, like we have Nag Tibba, then you have Binog Tibba and Deoban. So these are like one-night camping treks. And for families, we sometimes have special family treks, and we extend it to 2 nights.
Okay.
So there are activities that are done with the family on these treks. So the ideal thing would be to start off on one of these one-night camping treks.
Yeah.
But there are parents who kind of say that we are coming to the Himalayas. It's a huge investment in time and money and everything. So we want a longer trek. Yes. So we have some really beautiful, not very difficult treks. And these are like Dayara Bugyal and Kedar Kanta. So we've kind of put down Kedar Kanta and Dayara Bugyal as ideal treks that a family can go on. And there are many things that make it suitable for families, because the risk is much less than any other trek. Yeah. These are very commonly done treks. So we have our bases really well set up. Yes. Yeah. And there's a lot of support from the staff. The trails are beautiful. Like you have a summit at Kedar Kanta, Daira, you have these endless meadows on the top. So for a child or a family in such an environment, it's not so difficult that you feel exhausted and unable to do anything at the end of the day. And it's not so easy that you feel, oh, I'm just on a picnic. Yeah. So it has that right blend of difficulty and joy of being in the outdoors.
So Kedar Kanta and the Darya, how do you pronounce it?
Dayara Bugyal.
Okay, and these both are in Uttarakhand?
In Uttarakhand.
Okay, in Uttarakhand, correct. So it's easy access, like you said, fairly moderate to climb as well.
Easy.
Now, yes. Both of these are 2 or 3 day treks? 3 day treks?
They are 4 day treks.
4 day treks. So there is considerable preparation, at least a month or 2 preparation that the kids and parents would need to undertake before coming to these treks? The two that you mentioned.
Yes, that's very important to prepare.
Yeah.
And it's not just the physical preparation, though that's very important. So
Yeah.
the parents and the child, they need to run, they need to do some physical exercise,
Right.
The lung capacity should be good, and plus the legs strong enough to be able to walk 4 to 6 hours a day, and it's at an incline, so it's not like walking on flat road. So that requires physical fitness.
Yeah.
And that preparation is extremely important, because those who don't prepare, they are struggling all the time, and those
They
who
won't
come in
enjoy it.
prepared, they don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you see those who have prepared and come in, they have the time to look around, they can relax, they can enjoy the views, they talk to each other, they can interact. So physical preparation is extremely important. Apart from that, especially with kids, we need mental preparation also. Getting them excited about the trek, looking forward to it. So we kind of encourage parents to do the entire planning with the child. So even like showing it to them on the map, sitting with them, putting it down and say, how are we going to reach there, planning the travel with the child, looking through maybe some of the videos that we have, also deciding what clothes to take, how are we going to keep warm. So these constant discussions and involvement of the children during the whole process, no matter how young, will really make them completely ready to take on this entire trek and look forward to it.
Yeah.
It's then that all the challenges that come up would just be challenges, and it would be exciting for them. It wouldn't be something that they would complain about.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to add one thing here. Let's be honest, it's not a cheap holiday. You would need to prepare your child, so you would probably buy a few things for the child.
Yes.
If this is the first time that you and your wife are going on a trek, then you would probably buy a few things for yourself. So by no means it's a picnic, or it's just like a cheap getaway. You are investing money, but then the gear that you invest in is going to last you for multiple treks or multiple years. So it might seem an investment upfront, but you're investing in a very, very valuable experience. And the last thing you want to do is invest money and bring this excitement and not be physically and mentally prepared and not enjoy.
Very true. Very true. There is a lot of investment. Yeah. So it's not just the money, it's also the time and the effort, even beforehand, the preparation, everything, all of it. So physical preparation is like absolutely mandatory. And the good part about it is, in this whole process of preparing for a trek, and then you buy all your gear, and now you have your gear and you have this amazing experience, you would definitely want to do it again and again. And it's a great way even to remain fit for maybe a lifetime. Like if you take up trekking as something that you even do once a year, you have to remain physically fit to be able to do it. And not just yourself, but your entire family. That would in turn lead to so many small changes in the way, in your lifestyle, and how you eat and how you exercise and all of that stuff. So we've seen a lot of discipline coming into families who trek regularly, especially when they take their kids. And
I completely agree. It's definitely a very addictive. It is very difficult to take the mountains out of your mind and out of your soul. I can say it from experience that I don't see myself ever stopping to trek. And I'm actually looking forward that maybe in a year or two, I can take my son at least close by, maybe not the Himalayas right away, but at least take him to Kalsubai, which is the peak in Maharashtra, and the Sahyadris, and at least get him going, at least make him understand that this is what mountains look like, this is what the weather does to them, this is what the soil looks like. It is a very addictive exercise and a very addictive process and the journey. I was reading about, I think it's called the Himalayan Mountain Challenge that you have for that you've put together for kids or students. Can you talk about that, please?
That's not for the young kids. The Himalayan Mountain Challenge is especially a program that's been designed for B schools. So we have several of the Indian Institutes of Management, like IIM Bangalore and Indore and Lucknow and a few others, who send their students on this program. It's an experiential learning program.
Okay.
And they get credits for it. So this program is designed for that, but we take elements of the Himalayan Mountain Challenge, and we use similar elements, maybe not as rigorous as the Himalayan Mountain Challenge, but similar for the younger students, like for those between the ages of 12 and 17. We have special teen treks where we kind of have the same Himalayan mountain challenge, but a little easier. The learning is tremendous. So in that, what they do is they literally plan and execute the entire trek themselves. So that's the whole challenge. So these are students who have never been to the mountains before, most of them. There may be just 5 out of, say, 100 who've been to the mountains.
Okay.
And we make them in teams. These are mixed teams of gender as well as experience, and as mixed as possible. We don't put friends together. So they form teams, and then they have to plan what they need for the 4 days of trekking, what supplies, what they're going to cook, how they're going to set up tent, setting up their toilets, digging the pits. So it's all the work that you have seen on a trek that is done for you. These students will have to do it themselves.
Oh God, setting up the toilet. I mean, that's that is a life lesson in itself.
It is. And I have been on a trek with families, one of the batches to Daira Bugyal, where we used some of these elements even with the teams when because we had a lot of kids in that batch. There were about 17 children.
Okay.
And we had ages from 7 years old up to 16. So we had a whole group of boys who had come after their board exams. And there were younger ones, some few girls, some between the ages of 11 and 13, and there were 2 7-year-old girls. And we made a complete mixed team of few of the boys, some of the girls in the middle age group, and then the young ones, even the youngest. While digging the toilet pits, like the boys had this thing and digging the ground, and this little young girl wanted to be part of it. She took the small shovel and she was taking out the mud. And with so much of enthusiasm and excitement. So we have this thing that, oh, it's so tough. How will kids do it? But kids love these things. Kids love anything hands-on. Even just demonstrating, pitching a tent. After that, they don't want help. No, let us do it. We can do it ourselves. And they have that. And we see them completely come alive on a trek. They learn so much through this experience of doing it and of learning, doing, and then improving it the next day. Because a major part of the Himalayan Mountain Challenge and our team treks, our family treks, is the evening reflections that we do with the children and with the parents. They reflect on their observations of the day, how the program went, what did they learn, what did they learn about themselves, what did they learn about others, and what challenges did they face, how did they overcome these challenges, what was the factor, was it the help they received, or was it something that because their skill in doing it improved, so they felt better about it. So all of these are looked into, and these reflections are they result in them planning better for the next day. Because they all hear each other out, they share what they've learned, and then they plan, okay, we did this today, how are we going to do it tomorrow so that we have a better outcome? And then again, the next day after they do what they do, we have reflections. So each day of those 4 days, they reflect and they learn. And this process of planning, of doing, of reflecting, of planning, of doing, of reflecting is, I think, one of the huge takeaways for these students, because this is something you can apply anytime in life, to anything that comes up in life. That you have to do something, and then you learn from the mistakes you made or from the things that went well, and then you reflect on it, and then you implement it again the next day with the attitude of learning that I may again make mistakes, but each time I'm going to make small improvements.
And parents can use that later. They can bring that memory back for the child, that you remember that day when you were XYZ and you came back and you reflected and you improved the next day, and they can use that to inspire and self-motivate the child again 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line.
Yes, it's something they can use in everything, every day. They don't even have to bring it back as a recall memory. They can just do it with their kids. Just say, okay, let's come together. So what was it? How did it go? What happened? How do you feel? What can be done differently next time? Let's do it. Let's try it out. And then again, we'll come back tomorrow and see how it goes. So that the child knows that just making a mistake is not the end of the world. Not having done well at one time is not. It's just part of this whole process. And the process is never ending, because improvement is never ending. So it's really good. I find this as one of the biggest plus points of this program. And the fact that it happens in the Himalayas in an environment which is so different and so out of their, their comfort zones, that no one is ready for what comes there. There's a high level of receptivity. There's a high level of being very genuine while going about what you do.
I think, I have this conversation a lot of time with my wife because she has not explored the Himalayas yet. And I keep telling her that as a country, our mountains are probably the biggest asset that we have. And we don't realize how fortunate and how lucky we have to either have the Himalayas right there. I mean, you and I can reach Himalayas this evening. That is not a joke. I mean, to be there in that particular surrounding, and just the air and just the aura of being surrounded by mountains it's absolutely amazing. I get calls from my friends living in Europe and US, and they're like, we want to plan coming to the Himalayas next year. I mean, next year, that's like, they're like, we're saving up money to do this. And I'm like, oh my God, I can just fly there tomorrow. And that's the reason why I really appreciated when Indiahikes took the, and I'm not trying to market and not, become an ambassador for Indiahikes, but I think credit is due where it is due. I really appreciated the fact that you guys were taking responsibility to cleaning the mountains, to take out the garbage from there, to be one of the first ones to talk about sustainability, to be the first ones to give trekkers those waste pouches to put their garbage in. You can't kill your business, but at the same time, you also have that responsibility. That you want to make it clean and make it pleasurable for the next batch or for the next decade or for the next generation.
Yes, very true. It's part of the philosophy and the culture of Indiahikes that when you go to a certain place, you have to leave it in a better condition than you found it. It's not just leave no trace. It is make a positive difference wherever you go. And this is also part of all our programs. Like we have the experiential learning programs for students, for families. At the core activity of all of these programs is the environment, cleaning up, doing something, giving back, becoming more aware. So that is something that is an integral part of every trek. Students go back feeling so much more connected, so much more responsible towards nature. Plus, they also realize that even I can do something.
How do you see schools giving this a further push? Parents need to think about this. I would go on a limb and say parents need to make trekking a once a year holiday with the child. That's just me. I come from that mindset. But what do you think schools can do to somehow integrate nature and mountains and being outdoors more part of a kid's life?
There are many schools now that are realizing how important nature and the outdoors are, like the nature classroom, outdoor classroom, because whatever's learned experientially while actually doing or being out in nature with their hands, by observing, by actually interacting with nature, the learning and the retention is immense. And studies have shown that when a child does something experientially, there's 75% of retention, that compared to maybe 25% of classroom learning. So which school wouldn't want to have it?
Yes.
It's so the only maybe reason they wouldn't do it is there could be the safety factor, or not knowing how to do it, or maybe not having people who would be able to take it from end to end and enable the children to have a great learning experience at the same time, a joyful one. So that is something that we are trying to change, we're trying to bring about. We have programs at different levels, actually at 4 levels for schools, where initially we have something called Camp in Campus for the really tiny kids, because kids love camping. They make tents in their houses, they tie bed sheets together, and they want to act like they're out in the wilderness. So if they can do it in their own homes, why not do it with their friends on campus? And so we have a program, an initial program called Camp in Campus. And that's something that would kind of be the first step, you can say, or maybe step 0 towards going out. And once the schools are more comfortable with it and the children are more comfortable, parents are also a major factor over here, because going out is something scary for many of them, and sending their kids out is even worse. So then we have the one-day treks So there are many cities that are fortunate, as you said, like Mumbai and Nagpur and Pune, Bangalore. So many places have beautiful hills around them. So schools in those areas can start off one-day treks where they go in the morning and come back in the evening. And it can then progress to one-night camping and eventually to Himalayan. We have designed learning around all of this because these are the environments where learning can happen very beautifully. It has the right amount of stress, it has the right amount of challenge, it has all the elements that make it conducive to experiential learning. So to make the most out of it, we actually have to take them out.
Right.
You cannot do a lot in classroom or on campus. And we are seeing many schools opening out. I know that many of the IB schools and the IGCSE schools do it, but apart from that, even the local schools have started showing interest. We have some in Bangalore. Since we are located in Bangalore, we take many of these local schools on day treks and on eco hiking club, we call it. The kids absolutely love it.
Well, you guys are blessed with amazing weather, so stop making us jealous. We are at 46.5 degrees today.
Oh no, that's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, so trekking is not something you can do all the time.
Yeah.
It has to be done at maybe when the weather is suitable. We don't want kids to hate it, so we have to take them. And if it's a day trek, it's good to start really early in the morning. So look at starting the trek at say 6 and be done by lunchtime and back, so that they don't get too stressed. We want kids to love nature.
That's a very important thing that you mentioned because one of the concerns that parents have is, अरे हमारा बच्चा पूरा दिन कैसे trekking करेगा? He's not used to it. What people don't understand is that the actual trekking is not done the entire day. There's few hours in the day that you trek. So like you said, if you start early in the morning at 6, you would stop around noon. And even out of those 6 hours, it's not all trekking. Maybe 3 or 4 hours is going to be trek because you will stop frequently. You will stop and take photographs. You will stop for a drink break, or you will have a second breakfast, or maybe a brunch or an early lunch. It's not all just walking and just exercise. It's broken up into different sections.
Yeah, we have several rest points, and it's important to take rests and to take breaks. And at each rest point, apart from drinking something and maybe having a snack and looking around, we also have small sessions. You can talk to them about nature, you can talk to them about sustainable living, about what can we do about the garbage that you're seeing on the trail, what do you think can be done, what will you do when you go back home, is there any change that you can bring about? So we have these very natural on-trail conversations and rest point conversations, which are so important during a trek. So one is allowing kids to just observe and be in nature. That's also beautiful. Even without interaction, they learn a lot. But when they are out and the environment for learning is exactly what would be required for any kind of very easy conversational talk that can happen when children are very receptive and open. So that's the time to kind of bring in these thoughts, these concepts in a very natural way, without moralizing, without asking them questions on, are you doing this? Or you should be doing that. It should come from them.
Yeah.
So these easy trail and rest point conversations are very, very important, and they need to be done to enhance the learning of any trek.
I'll ask a more technical question, but it has been asked to me from by a lot of parents, and it's okay if you if you want to get back to me. Where do you stand on diamox? I mean, when we trek, we've taken diamox a few times. There are a few treks that we skipped. Is that something that you recommend for kids and parents when they trek together, or where do you guys stand on that?
See, the Himalayan treks that we take kids on, like Daira, Bugyal and Kedarkanta, they do go above 10,000 feet, which the chances of acute mountain sickness is there.
Yeah.
But, and those who would like to go on a course of diamox for that, it's absolutely fine. So they start off once they reach base camp, or when they start coming towards base camp, maybe at Dehradun, they can start the course.
Yeah.
But most of the time, what happens with kids and with parents, as of now, all the experience that I've had, is that we talk to them about what the symptoms of AMS or acute mountain sickness are and how to look out for it. And we constantly have these checks, or trek leader keeps checking with everyone on their health, on their safety. We check their pulse and their oxygen levels, their BP. So constantly we are on top of things. And as soon as we see that there are indications or slightest symptoms of AMS, the course can be started. Of course, a lower dose for children. So most of the time we started when the symptoms start showing.
Okay.
It's also absolutely fine to start it from Dehradun itself. So both ways is okay. And it just helps in speeding up acclimatization. And it doesn't really have any side effects apart from maybe tingling fingers and toes and, maybe going to the loo very frequently.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there's no other side effect. So it completely depends on the parents, how they feel about it. They want to take precautions in advance, or they would rather go with a symptomatic thing. Yeah. We are okay with both.
Is there anything that that we might have not gone over that you think is important for parents to know when it comes to outdoors and trekking and really making this a activity that kids look forward to? Is there anything you would like to add?
I think I've already covered it, that plan along with your kid. Don't plan for your kid.
Yeah.
Let them be involved in the entire process from beginning to end. Try not to push. So that would be a very important thing. And even kids who are reluctant, once you reach the base camp, just hand the kids over to us. So I would advise parents not to be overly concerned. Right. Because our trek leaders are trained. We have special trainers who come in to train them on how to use experiential learning on treks, how to interact with kids. We have in-depth trainings on this.
You guys have one of the best guides and one of the best support crews.
Yes, and when we have student groups, we have the specially trained trek leaders who have been trained to lead kids on a learning experience. Okay. So once your children are there with us, you can kind of just be sure that we are going to take care of their health, of their safety, of their eating, of their drinking, of their warmth. So we wouldn't want parents to kind of be too worried about, oh, it must be cold, wear another layer, have you eaten enough, why aren't you eating, or drink your water. And we would kind of say, just let go while you're on the trek. If we have an issue, the trek leaders need help, they will of course ask you to step in. But it would be nice for the parents to kind of back off and also be part of this whole joyful process. Just spend time with the kids, be happy, encourage them, let them encourage you. Yeah. And participate fully in all the activities. And if there are any issues, to talk with the trek leader in private rather than bring it up, because kids get influenced and get, they feel bad very quickly. So we need to be very sensitive. And that's one of the reasons we have special parent patches, because parents kind of understand other parents where they come from. Plus they have the support of each other. Yeah. It's quite often that adults who don't have younger kids, or their kids have grown up, they don't understand how a small child can be affected by different things that happen. So we are very careful about the attitude towards a trek, how they go about it, what they learn from it, their feelings, their experience. And we would like the parents also to be in sync with us during that whole time. So we have sessions, we have briefings for the parents, we have briefings with the children, we have reflections together, we have reflections separately. So while on that experience of a family trek, I think it's just make the best of it is something I would like to just tell parents. And if there are any issues, we are there to answer all your questions. Yeah. We have and parents ask a lot of questions, and that's really good. The more questions, the better. And I think that we have WhatsApp groups before the whole trek starts. So a month before the trek happens, even if your children are going without you, we have the parents on a WhatsApp group talking about things. And if the kids are old enough, they join the group. So a lot of pre-trek conversations are also very important. They set the tone and they set the whole expectation of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think
And
having your kids go on a trek is more of an experience for the parents of just not being overprotective and letting go.
yes,
It's that famous thing, right? The child is just going to fly off the nest one sooner than later, and you, as long as you've given the right values and the right education at home, you don't have to worry about it too much. Yes, the safety is an important aspect, but like you said,
yes,
you guys are an experienced company. You guys have provided training to your staff and your guides, and they take really good care of the kids. Like I said earlier, I can vouch for the quality and the training that goes into your guides, and they're really good at it. I really want to thank you, Izzat, for your time. I think I always knew that outdoors was a gift for us. I always knew that it is important for kids, but having somebody like you who's working in the system, working with parents and working with kids all the time, um, for you to come and share your thoughts, I really want to thank you for that. So thank you for your time.
you're most welcome. And this is something I love to do. I love to talk to people who would eventually take their children into the mountains,
Yes.
because I feel that kids really need to experience nature, and it's something that resonates very strongly with me. So I should thank you too for giving me this opportunity.
All right, Izzat. Thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon then.
All right. Bye-bye.